inside the off stump. Oh, he's caught it! I don't believe it! Tom Kohler-Cadmore has caught the most magnificent catch. At short third man, it's the end of Daniel Sams, and Somerset have won the Vitality Blast 2023. They've bowled Essex out for 131.
Good evening, you're listening to Always Look on the Bright Side of Life. This is the Somerset Cricket Podcast. My name's Ian Shepherd. Joining me this evening, I've got Harry Everett, President of Somerset County Cricket Club, Peter Wanless, and the voice of cricket on BBC Radio Somerset, Anthony Gibson. Well, where shall we start tonight then, gents? Shall we talk about that game up at Gloucester? Somerset looking absolutely dead and buried. But then in the gloom, out comes Roloff van der Merwe, 48 off 15 balls. Wins the game in the dying embers in a partnership with Josh Davey to see Somerset victorious in the Vitality Blast up at the Unique Seat Stadium last year. And as far as I'm concerned, we haven't played Gloucester at all since then. Apart from
we have. Yeah, Will Smeed.
Oh, Will Smeed.
Yes.
I mean, to be honest, that's probably the highest limited overs innings up at Neville Road this year, I think. I can't think of any others. Can you?
Only one higher score in a county versus county list day game ever, and that was Surrey versus Gloucestershire 2007, 496.
Oh yeah, I'd forgotten about Sunday. Thanks for reminding me, Harry. Yeah, 'twas not a pleasant day to be a Somerset fan. Although
it was just a horrible day. It was a horrible day all told, really, and whether you're a Somerset fan or not. I don't think some of the Gloucestershire fans enjoyed it, but it was such an... I mean, Bracey, certainly for the first third of his innings, didn't actually bat particularly well at all. But he put himself into form as he went along and ended up just toying with the bowling, hitting it wherever he wanted to. It was sad. It was the massacre of the innocent on Twitter. And, it's... as I've said on television tonight, it's just this sort of ultimate condemnation of what the ECB have done to the county cricket season by trying to run two competitions simultaneously. They've lionised one, and they've completely undermined and downgraded, sidelined the other, and the 50 over competition, whether it's the Gillette Cup, West Cheltenham, Gloucester, CB40, YB40, One Day Cup, it was the main one day competition of the year with sellout crowds at Lords and massive occasions that people remember. I mean, people now remember the 67 final between Somerset and Kent as if it was yesterday. And now it's just been completely sidelined, and you get mismatches like Somerset Youth 11 against a quite strong Gloucestershire 11, and it's just a real shame. But I hope it focuses minds, particularly Richard Gould and Richard Thompson, who are reviewing the whole fixture list and cricket calendar in this country in the autumn. I hope it focuses their minds on just how deeply unsatisfactory the present situation is.
Yeah, couldn't have put it any better myself. I mean, we've conceded 2 double hundreds in a week. Prithvi Shaw and the aforementioned James Bracey. Men against boys. I mean, is it Harry? Have you got music going on in the background?
Yeah, sorry, neighbours a bit noisy.
Noisy neighbours. Well, there we go. I mean, if there was ever a podcast to have noisy neighbours on, it was one where we've just been pumped by Gloucester. There we go.
I've got one little stat for you on Bobby Bracey, if you like.
Oh, go on then.
Well, more on Somerset. In list day matches between counties, this is only the 6th double century. 3 of them have been against Somerset, and of course 2 of them have been in 4 days. And if you think about it, if Pujara had opened the batting and Sussex had batted first, it could well have been 3 in a week with Shaw, Pujara and Bobby Bracey.
Yeah, of course, Ali Orr making one for, was it Sussex last year? Yeah. Oh, God. Yeah.
I wouldn't want to disagree with Anthony's big picture analysis, because I think it's absolutely spot on. But I do see some distinction between the performance at Northants and the performance on Sunday. I mean, Prithvi Shaw's innings was, I think, one of the best one-day innings that I have seen. He hit the ball as hard, if not harder, than Kola Cadmore. His ability with his hands to steer the ball between our fielders wherever we put them was extraordinary. Yes, we were a bit sloppy in the field. We dropped some catches, but we never dropped him. And it was quite a privilege to be there and to watch that. Nevertheless, we batted pretty well in response. But then you come to the Gloucester game, and it's not even our second bowling 11. When we were on together, weren't we, a fortnight ago, and we picked our team for this competition, and we had Goldsworthy, Brooks, Aldridge, Davey, all missing, Ogborn, all missing on Sunday. So, Danny Lamb opening the bowling for us. Five teenagers in the team. It was a complete mismatch. It wasn't quite such a mismatch at Northampton, and I know it's a bit rich to say take Prithvi Shaw's 244 out of it, and but we bowled pretty well against the others. Didn't feel particularly well. He batted tremendously, and then we put up a reasonable fight. So even when we're putting up our second and a half team, it's not a disgrace. But I don't think Harry Camphor turns out to be the best overseas signing of the tournament. There are one or two others in the competition who are kind of really flying.
I mean, we could have had Prithvi Shaw first ball, that inside edge, mind.
Yes,
yeah, you could. Yeah.
But I think we probably go Pujara, Prithvi Shaw, then Curtis Camphor. But yeah, I mean, resorting to Danny Lamb opening the bowling, I don't think should bowl until there's 15 overs left. I think he's your slower ball, deaf specialist. But yeah, you can't write a script with
like it was against Sussex.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of excuses we can make. I mean, it's not ideal to not have Aldridge, Ogborn, Brooks, Davey, Goldsworth, as you say. But we'll try and take some positives.
Well, what positives are there to take? I mean, Sean Dixon's interview with yourself yesterday, Anthony's, which shared far and wide. I thought he spoke really well. He seems to wear his heart on his sleeve, and he does give you an honest answer to a question. He looked like he was hurting, which is good. It's just what you want to see.
I did the county cricket podcast this morning with a Warwickshire fan and a Lancashire fan, I think they were, and even they were talking about the Sean Dixon interview. So one kudos to Anthony and Sean Dixon for being that open and honest an interview that fans from other counties are watching and listening, and I think his frank honesty is brilliant. Like, at least he's, I'm currently wearing the Chris Rogers top from 4 or 5 years ago, and I love Chris Rogers as a captain. He was no excuses. He was aggressive, bold, and I think Sean Dixon is in that mould. I think he's early in his captaincy days, and he's got a hard task, as you say, with a 2.5 11. I actually think he's doing a half decent job, but it's got a tricky job to do. And I love the raw passion and how much it hurt. We'd be moaning if it didn't hurt, and he didn't look bothered.
Yeah. One thing that I will just take issue with what he said is the phrase character building. I'm not sure it is particularly character building to be. It's learning on the job, isn't it? When you've got young JT Langridge, who's sort of 17, he's getting smashed all over the place, and he picked up a wicket towards the end, but his figures weren't anything to be writing home about. What were they yesterday? 1 for 95 off 8. He was bowling at the end as well, which I thought was a little bit...
Good catches from Ned Leonard on the boundary.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, yeah.
But I mean, the way you integrate young players, it's the standard formula is you play 3 or 4 of your frontline bowlers, and then maybe 1 or 2 of your youngsters, and you can slot and you can get your experienced bowlers bowling the difficult overs, and then, you know, slot your kids in where you think, you know, they can just bowl a little bit here, the game's going a little bit quieter, they just get on, sneak a few overs, get some experience.
Well, we've seen what happened. As I said, we had 5 teenagers playing in that Gloucestershire game, but one of them was James Rue, who has been integrated properly into the team and behaves and performs like an absolute veteran. And another of the teenagers was Bashir, you know, who again has only just made his county championship debut. It's only a month and a half that I was down in Taunton watching him bowling at Taunton Dean, and again he's at the more experienced end of the team we're having to put out. So, you know, is it any wonder that we're struggling?
People have said on social media, Bashir's in the team, he's good, but he's 19. As you say, he's played a handful of championship matches, a handful of T20s, and a handful of List A matches. He's nowhere near the finished article. He's got all the promise in the world. I think he's going to be a fantastic bowler in 4 or 5 years' time, but right at this moment, you know, if he would be a second spinner behind Roloff or Jack Leach in that.
I liked how Dixon bowled him to death the last over. I thought I like that. You know, when they've racked up 400 already, you don't give him any more pace on the ball. And I don't know the exact stats, but I bet his last over went for one of the least of all the last 10 overs.
It was, it was.
It kind of worked.
Yeah,
I didn't think it was a good idea bowling JT Langridge towards the end there.
No.
And, I mean, you talk about Camphor as a signing, overseas signing. I thought Harry Tector, we didn't see very much of it, but he looked class.
Yeah,
he came in and just smashed it right from the start with some really nice cricket shots as well. And you know, Van Buren as well. If it hadn't been for Ollie Price,
they've got 500.
Then he got 500. Well, they would.
Yeah, he was only striking at 92.77. Ollie Price for his 77 off 83 balls. It was.
And bear in mind, his brother whacks it a lot more than he does as well. So if he'd got out and let his brother come in, you're right. Yeah, I agree.
I mean, that attack. That attack from yesterday. Danny Lamb and Ned Leonard opening the bowling, and JT Langridge, George Thomas, who I thought actually bowled pretty well.
He was the best.
They were going along at 9 and over, and I thought I need to go to IKEA because I was doing a bit of DIY at home yesterday. So I did pay scant attention to that game. I had you and Ed Seaborn on in the background, Gibbo.
I don't blame you. Surprisingly, he had us on in the background. I'd have turned it off.
Well, he kept. Well, I was living in hope. You have to live in hope, and I was sort of coming on thinking, right, about 95 for 1 off about 10. And George Thomas came volleyball tidily. I don't know if it was a Roy the Rovers boots thing with John. Is it Roy the Rovers with the magic boots that he puts on? And he had Josh Davies' shirt on, which I assume, being a teenager, he'd left his own kit at home and had to scrabble around to borrow somebody. But yeah, 1 for 44 off 7 in that onslaught was pretty decent. And then Camphor, Bashir and Thomas Jr. I mean, it is not the attack that any of us envisaged playing in this competition 3 weeks ago.
I tell you what is a bit worrying though, and I don't like to say this, but I think it has to be said. You have to worry about the quality of the bowlers that are coming up through the system, as to how many of those bowlers who were on show yesterday are really going to make it. I don't know. They're none of them Gus Atkinsons. In all honesty,
I take your point, but I mean, I'll go back to what I said earlier. These guys need to be bowling in, a 5-man attack with 1 or 2 of these kids, and as well, let's not forget, in Championship cricket, you don't need as much Nelson variation. If you are a big strapping lad like JT Langridge, you can bowl it back of a length, consistently outside.
I'm sure he's big and strapping. JT Langridge, he's big. As scored as they come, Sheps.
Well, right. We'll just go big then. But if you in Championship cricket, if you've got that metronomic, persistency like a Matt Henry or a Craig Overton showed it earlier in the Championship this year, that will stand you in good stead in the Championship. So you can potentially come through as a red ball player earlier than you can as a white ball player, when you've got to have so many variations and Nelson experience.
You look at our Championship bowling. We got Craig Overton, all right, who may very well be picked up by England again because he's that good. We've got Jack Leach, who's already in the England camp. We've got Josh Davey, who is more and more injury prone. We've got Jack Brooks, who is over the hill, if we're being blunt about it. We've got Casey Aldridge, who's becoming more of a batsman than a bowler. And we don't really have a promising crop of young bowlers coming through. And, if you're going to win anything, it's bowlers that win you cricket matches. Batsmen can set it up, but it's bowlers that win them, particularly in the county championship. And I am seriously worried about the quality of Somerset's bowling attack over the next 2 or 3 years, the way things are at the moment. The established bowlers are getting older and getting less effective, and the ones that are coming through, just in all honesty, they've had plenty of opportunities in the One Day Cup and to some extent in the Championship. They're just not doing it.
And is it slightly galling if we stick on Sunday, Gloucestershire used 7 bowlers, and the best bowler of the 7, the man who got 3 for 34 off 7, the second best economy rate, was one of our own, Paul Van Meekeren. I mean, is that slightly salt in the wound? That lovely guy. He wasn't quite the right fit for Somerset at the time, but had we held on to him, he seems to have got quicker and better potentially in the last couple of years.
Yeah, definitely.
Is that slightly galling?
Well, I suppose
Jamie Overton at Surrey, who smashed it all over the place yesterday.
Harry, can you get your neighbours to turn their music down or pop on mute when you're not speaking? I feel like I'm a pop master here. I'm trying to guess the tune.
I think it might increase the positivity in an otherwise negative podcast. Yeah.
Well, the young talent we've got. This applied to batsmen, in the last few years. Now it's beginning to apply to the bowlers. We're not bringing them on, it seems to me, like we should be. They reach a level, and then they don't go on from that. And I'm worried the same is going to happen.
Yeah, Harry, can you go on mute, mate, when you're not speaking?
As happened with us.
That's better.
Yeah.
Yeah. James Rew is the shining exception to that. But for the most part, you look at someone like George Bartlett. He's been around now for 6 years, 7 seasons, something like that. I don't know what he's averaging in the One Day Cup this season, but it's probably about 25. He's had one decent innings and keeps getting out. Lewis Goldsworthy doesn't seem to get a game for whatever reason. I guess he was injured yesterday.
Again. Well, I suppose I would probably say in
Hanson doesn't get a game.
I'll probably say in Bartlett's defence, he's having a pretty decent championship summer this year. So, and if
he is, but he's inconsistent. He keeps shuffling across his stumps and getting LBW. Well, I'm really worried about the immediate future for Somerset cricket in the light of what's happened in the One Day Cup. Particularly on the bowling side, because they've tried their very best, but I'm not sure that their very best is all that good.
Well, I think you're being a bit harsh on them, Gibbo. If you look at the ages of some of these guys, Aldridge is still only 22. Sonny Baker, who's looking the real deal, has obviously been out with injuries. He's only 20.
Yeah. I wasn't including Sonny Baker.
No, but Ned Leonard is still only 20.
I know he is.
Alfie Ogborn's 20. It's Ned Leonard's birthday tomorrow. Happy birthday for tomorrow, Ned, if you're listening. Alfie Ogborn is still only 20. So, I thought Alfie bowled well in that championship game against Hampshire. Ned Leonard's coming back from injury.
Taking your point that they are very young, then there's a big gap between those who are very young and
yes,
the more mature, established bowlers. Overton's will be 30. Or is he 30 already? He'll be either 30 this year. Gregory has got a back problem.
Yeah,
that
29. Gregor is
altogether.
Yeah.
Jack Brooks is 39, and there's a huge gap there, and I can't see what's going to fill it other than overseas bowlers. Neil Wagner I think is a good signing for September, but I wish we had him for next April.
Well, he's another one. I didn't realise how old, but he's 37 as well, and he'll be 38 next year.
But he's still
the New Zealand Test side are all 32 plus, aren't
they? Yeah.
I do agree that there is a significant gap in the ages of our bowling resources, and we desperately need someone around the 24, 25 mark. That's where we need to ideally try and recruit somebody domestically. I would say that's, that would be my number one piece of business if I was Andy Hurry over the winter. Overseas pace bowler, and look around for a solid domestic bowler. I don't know how somebody like Jack White is, but that that sort of seasoned county pro. I said somebody like Jack White, not Jack White himself, but I've just contradicted myself by saying a seasoned county pro around the 24-25 mark.
Yeah, it's a tricky one. They don't grow on trees, do they?
No.
And so many of them got back injuries. And if they are good, then they go to franchise tournaments or England, and you miss them. So it's a hard. And I think we've got to be honest. We've been a little bit unlucky to have Alfie Ogborn, Casey Aldridge, who are nearly in that bracket. I agree, they're probably slightly too young, as you say. Casey's been better with a bat, but to use them two and Sonny Baker, you'd bank on at least two or one of them being fit, and that helps this side. And I mean, poor old Ned Lennon's a good bowler. He's just been so injured the last 2 years. Mm-hmm. If the bloke hadn't been injured the last 2 years, I reckon he'd be much better. I think that's frank reality.
Yeah, and it's the growing pains, I suppose, of fast bowlers as well that will just seem to get these injuries. I mean, I think if push came to shove, I spoke to Sonny Baker at Bovey a couple of weeks ago for the Devon game, and I think if push came to shove, what I kind of understood the way he was saying, he probably could have played, but they just didn't want to risk it, and just give him a full winter to get himself sorted and come back forever next year. I mean,
what did he say about Blaze? Did he say anything about Blaze Baker, brother?
What, his brother?
Yeah,
I didn't ask.
He can't be far away.
No, he's another one on the academy. We've got another Baker and another Rue. Obviously, what the two Thomases.
Yeah,
I've been impressed with Josh Thomas's batting.
Mm-hmm.
He seems he's a little bit better than his brother, if you ask me.
He looks more technically correct than his brother. I think they're trying to make Will Smead V2 with George Thomas.
Yes, good comparison.
Which isn't.
I thought his bowling was. Good too. Actually, not Gloucester, but
no, Sussex. He bowled.
Sussex, imaginative and a bit different, and yeah.
I've been impressed with him, but he's not a fast bowler.
No. And we'll have to get a different sort of pitch.
Yeah, but I mean,
where's the Garfield Sobers these days who can bowl a bit of spin and a bit of pace, eh?
Yeah.
Well, James Rue can bowl a bit of spin as well as keep wickets, so we could give probably Sean Dixon maybe takes the gloves, give James Rue a couple of overs.
Well, left-handed all-rounder Tom Lavenby. He's bowled left-arm spin. And
what the flipping
left-arm medium piece. Yeah.
What the flipping hell's going on there?
Tom Lavenby? Where is he? Why isn't he playing for Somerset?
Yeah, he's getting splinters in his arse up at Old Trafford, not playing for the whatever they are up there.
The Originals. Yeah.
Manchester Originals. I think
that aren't original.
Wasn't Ackerman released to play for Leicester the other day under this kind of caveat that the 100 teams have got?
Yeah.
Obviously, I don't
Ackerman
know.
got big runs as well.
I mean, I don't know whether there was a bit of buyer's remorse maybe with the Manchester Originals after Lammers. Let's be fair to him, didn't have the best of the T20 last campaign this season, well below his high standards. And he goes up there, so it was highly unlikely he was ever going to get in their first choice 11. They do play 11 aside in the other competition, don't they? They haven't got like 12 or 13 with super subs or any of that nonsense. So it seems just really strange that he's not come back.
Well, it has to. It's up to the player. If the franchise is prepared to release him, then it's up to the player to decide whether he wants to be released or not. And I insinuate nothing by saying that.
I mean,
well, we miss him.
Yeah, we do. And again, I think he's not been in the best of nick this year, so it probably would have been a ideal time for him. I mean, Lamonby and Umid opening the batting with Thomas coming down a bit lower, lower down in the order. I think the best he batted this year in the Blast was when he opened the batting against Glamorgan, was it?
I tell you when Tom Bannon was out.
You just mentioned it. The one really big positive from this One Day Cup campaign for me is Andy Umid.
Yeah, agreed.
Has really come to life. He's shown what he can do. I mean, he hit one of the biggest hits I've seen in recent years at Northampton when he Yeah,
exactly.
Gloucester as well. I didn't think he had
Sir
that.
Peter
then.
Wanless was sitting and just watching
Right over my head.
It was a tremendous shot, and I interviewed him after he got his 100 against Sussex, and such a lovely bloke as well.
Did he pull you up for calling him front foot dominant, Gibbo?
No, I didn't. He didn't. But I thought he's batted really well. He got runs yesterday and batted. He batted better actually yesterday, I thought, than he batted against Sussex, because he could have been out any time in the first half dozen overs against Sussex, playing and missing. But he didn't do that yesterday. He played really, really nicely and hit some very powerful shots. And so I'm really glad to see Andy Umeed break through, and I hope they give him another contract extension, because he looks the part.
Since we all said he should be dropped, he's done 50, 70 and 100, hasn't he?
Do you think he could undergo a white ball transformation similar to Tom Abel a few years back? Because he was very much a technical red ball blocker, and then all of a sudden he just realised he could play all these reverse sweeps and dibs and dabs and manipulate the field like nobody's business.
I can't see me doing that. I can see him getting better at white ball cricket, but he's not going to scoop and reverse sweep. I mean, I was at the hands of Will Abel getting 155 off 80 balls on Saturday, and just saw so much of Tom in that Middlesex 100 he got in the blast. I can't see me doing that, but I agree. He could become a decent 50 over player. I don't think he'll play T20s.
Do you not think Will Abel ought to be playing at a higher level?
Yeah, potentially. Yeah, he hasn't got big runs this year, but every now and again he just goes ballistic.
He looks, I've seen him. He's a very fine player. But Umeed, I agree absolutely with Harry. He's not a sort of scooper and dabber. He's a power hitter. He can hit the ball as hard as anyone I've seen. And
just going back to that six that he hit. So it's a shame Mr. Tancock's not on the podcast tonight, because I was sitting with his father's hero, Roy Virgin, and his wife, Anne, who are wonderful hosts at Northampton. And Andy Umeed hit a six, and it landed pretty much at our feet on the balcony of the boardroom, and all the Northants committee was sort of saying, we've never seen a ball hit that far before. And then an over later, it was sails over the pavilion and out of the ground. And they said that is unprecedented. And you wouldn't pick necessarily, if you were guessing who was the person who was going to hit the ball over the pavilion, it wouldn't be Andy Umeed. So definitely an early entry for the cider apple moments of the year there. Yeah, I need to make a note of that one.
Yeah,
I will make a note of your nomination, Pete, but it has got some very, very strong competition from a certain catch that Tom Kohler-Cadmore took about a month ago, almost a month ago to the day. So we'll put it in there. We'll put it up for nomination, but. I think we should do the bookmakers where they're betting without, when you've got like a 10-1 on favourite, they bet on who's. We could just take it as read that, what's his name? I've forgotten his name now. The Essex guy.
Dan Sams.
Daniel Sams. Daniel Sams caught Kohler-Cadmore, Bold Henry, and the ensuing celebrations. I think we can rubber stamp that as an early shout for the golden apple for the sparkling cider moment of the year. I had to wrap my brains to remember what we called it then, but we can have we'll just go for second place.
Maybe you could create some niche categories that would allow a few more unlikely.
What the biggest hit at Wantage Road by a Somerset batsman called Umeed?
Didn't Sean Dixon hit one over the Botham stand into the river?
Yes, he did. Yeah,
that's another contender. That's the first time I've seen anyone hit over the top of the Botham stand since Pete Trigo did it about 10 years ago.
No, Chris Gale did it.
Chris Gale did it a few times. Talking to Chris Gale, I spent the half an hour before this pod going through Ian Shepherd's YouTube channel, watching Chris Gale battle at Newton Abbott.
Have you really? I'll tell you what, I'd probably think you were less strange if you were looking at midget porn or something like that. They go through my YouTube channel.
Well, it's just a Chris Gale. I saw one Chris Gale video pop up, and then ended up watching another Chris Gale. And you sort of trying to commentate on Chris Gale batting half piddled at Newton Abbott made me chuckle.
Oh, that was a great day. Too far. I got me name checked in his autobiography. That did.
Did you?
Yeah. Page, what is it? Page 254. There you go. If you've got a copy of Six Machine by Chris Gale, have a look.
Sorry, I shouldn't have brought that up.
Moving on, bring it up if you want. Moving on from that nonsense. I mentioned last week about James Patel, our hypothetical Indian overseas player, and how we'd be raving about him if he was scoring all these runs in the county championship that James Rue has been. So I have looked up. Oh, I've lost them now. I have looked up Sachin Tendulkar's championship stats from his overseas stint at Yorkshire when he was 18 in 1992. 16 matches, 25 innings, 2 not outs, 1,070 runs, a high score of 100, averaging 46.52, 107 50s. James Rue.
Would it be more?
James Rue comfortably beating those numbers.
How about compare him to a Privy Shaw in the Ranji Trophy? Would that be a fair comparison?
I don't know. Well, it might be, but I've not looked at Privy Shaw stats.
And just think well, I suppose it depends where you bat. Rue's batting 6, and
nothing. I think James Rue is a fantastic prospect.
Anthony, the stats say he's going to be better than Sachin Tendulkar.
Well, I dare say
the stats say that they do. It's undeniable.
One of his hundreds was against Lancashire.
All right.
When they were bowling the batsman.
That's 5 he's got then for Tendulkar So Tendulkar only got 1 though. So he's got 4.
No,
4
I mean, but for goodness' sake, don't overhype him. Just let him make his way.
Tongue in cheek.
Shep, overhype? No.
We've only been doing this podcast for 3 years together, Gibbo, and you don't realise that I talk a lot of shit a lot of the time. But yes, I do agree. Tongue in cheek, hyperbole, yes. But he's already on a fantastic trajectory. So
he is.
Yeah. Speaking of Prithvi Shaw, how old is he? 23.
25.
When he took his helmet off, he looked about 42.
He's about 20, he's 23, and he's about, I should think, 14 stone and about 5'7" tall.
5'4" he is, according to Wikipedia.
Sorry?
5'4" according to Wikipedia.
5'4", is he?
Yeah.
He packs a punch, I reckon.
But he was really blowing towards the end of that innings, whereas Bracey looked fresh as a daisy. Yes, against us at Bristol. But
and then Bracey kept.
Yeah, I mean, it was a wonderful innings to watch. He didn't give a chance, as Peter said, and it was a vastly better innings than Bobby Bracey's. And not that I've got anything against Bobby Bracey, but Bracey was really struggling for the first third of that innings, whereas Prithvi Shaw just took the innings by the scruff of the neck, and he was taking a single off the last ball of every over. And just playing some lovely shots.
Anthony, compare that to Pujaras. I know it was only 100; it wasn't a double 100, and he doesn't hit sixes. But
Pujaras was control.
Yeah,
that was the hallmark of it. He was in control. He paced that innings so well. He didn't go too fast. He got a bad ball. He hit it for 4, but he was just rotating the strike and looking. Just knowing. And Sussex kept pace with the requirement. It never got behind the required rate. It was a brilliant innings. It wasn't a wonderful innings to watch. It was because he's not the most exciting stroke maker in the world, but in terms of controlling a run chase, it was a masterpiece. And and it's one I remember the Prithvi Shaw one, and I remember the Pujara one. I'm not sure I'll remember much of the Bobby Bracey one. Nice guy though he is.
Is that by choice or some kind of serious mental kind of discipline?
Oh no! I mean, we missed out on Bobby Bracey. He should have come to Somerset.
What we needed was the men in black outside the gates at Neville Road for the Somerset supporters with their little flashy pens that erase your memories.
Flipping out, the rascals talking tonight, Shep.
I'll tell you what. Well, I got a fridge in the Roll-Off and the Merva Pavilion now. Finally, after 2 years, I've got one. So it's it's highly available now. Harry, do you want to talk us through your knee injury that you posted on social media? That looked pretty nasty.
Mental. I honestly can't get over it. It's ridiculous. How many thousands of balls I've faced in my life, and how many times I've been hit on the knee roll, and all I did was got hit on the knee roll and got a massive gash. Yeah, if you want some gory pictures, head on to Harry Everett _14 on my Twitter and you can see some bloody pads, some bloody trousers, and a bloody knee.
Yeah. You on crutches? Is that
yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, scary. I mean, I had to have stitched in A&E in Musgrove, and my team wanted me to try and bowl in field, so I tried to bowl one over at Will Abel, and he hit me for 14, and that was a waste of time trying to bowl.
Improved your bowling then?
One step run out. Ruined the figures for the year, Shep. The most gutting thing is the best I batted all year. I got to 65, and the last 30 runs of them was with blood all over my pad and my leg. And I just couldn't really run between the wickets, so I didn't reach for a full toss. But mental injury, and I spoke to Kookaburra today, and there must be a fault with their pads. I don't really know. I'm going to have to send the bloody pad to them, send to inspect it. But
did it just go like flush on the knee roll?
Did it go through the rolls?
But there's no mark on the outside of the pad, but there's a hole on the inside of the pad. So it must be something, like you think a soft pad is there for protection. But if I didn't have the pad, the ball would have hit my leg and there'd be a bruise at worst. But I've got this massive cut in my leg with all the blood that gushed out. There must have been, you have those little bamboo canes, is it, that keeps the pad together? I never thought about that. But someone reckoned maybe one of them is split inside the pad, and the impact of the ball has jabbed that in. But you wouldn't have thought a protective thing, like you wouldn't have a gum shield or football shin pads with a knife inside them, would you? Like, why would mattress protecting leg pads have something sharp?
I thought it was just all foam. I mean, if you get,
so did I.
I haven't got my pads here at the moment, but if you get a pad, you can kind of bend it in half, can't you? And so it wouldn't.
Exactly. Yeah, I thought it was just foam. Someone told me there's these tiny little bamboo canes, but the chances of a tiny little bit of that's keeping the foam together going through, I don't know. Honestly, baffled by it. I've asked so many people about it in the last couple of days, and no one can quite work out what a ridiculous freak injury it is. And I just feel like Mario Balotelli, like, why always me? Like, why do I get these?
Just take your other pad apart, see if there's anything in, see what's in that one. See if you need a new pair, then might as well.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, it's been quite nice actually. Random small cricket companies all over the UK have messaged me saying, horrified to hear about this. Would love to send you some pads if Kookaburra don't sort this out. Hopefully they do. So it's weird how the Twitter world has sort of got behind it and horrified. I was interested to hear if anyone else had this before, and till now, still no one knows of it ever happening before.
So you got a time scale on your recovery, or are you just playing it by ear?
No, not really. Play it by ear the next couple of days. Hence why I was bored to watch your YouTube channel today. I struggled. I was meant to be playing at North Devon today. I'm meant to be playing yesterday. And
you're playing you would have been playing at North Devon?
Yeah, meant to be today. Yeah, gutted. I had to pull out the touring side.
Shame. My favourite cricket ground.
Yeah, I've meant to have a few games there in August, maybe in a couple of weeks, but I don't know. It might not be awful because it's just above the kneecap. But my car's still in Taunton, the one blooming cricket ground in the county you have to pay for parking, and my car's stuck at Taunton Vale, having to be taken to an A&E Saturday night, and I've had a drive the last couple of days.
Ouch. Well, speed of recovery to you, Harry. I did make some notes today. One final point then on the I have written down Royal London One Day Cup debacle. I think debacle is probably a bit of a strong word, but would you take what we've got now, this situation with the 100 and these players going off and Jason Kerr going off as well? My question is, Jason Kerr going off to franchise cricket with the Welsh Fire, is he still at the Welsh Fire this year?
Yep.
Yeah.
He was sitting in the front row with Mike Hussey, who's now in charge, behind him.
You were watching it, Gibbo. Ooh.
Oh, Gibbo.
I had this on Twitter. If Somerset players are playing in any form of the game, I reserve the right to watch them. All right? I'm watching the Somerset player. I'm watching Tom Abel, who made the winning hit.
Even if he's got a baseball bat in hand.
Is he a Somerset player if he's dressed up as a packet of hula hoops, though?
Yeah.
If a tree falls in the forest, is anybody around to hear it?
Ben Green did done well too, and Jamie Overton. I haven't seen the Jamie Overton innings, but I was delighted to see that we got 80 odd winning score for whoever he's playing for. The Oval Invincibles.
I digress. We digress. Back to my question. Jason Kerr, all these players go off for the 100, get this franchise experience, come back and win the Blast. Would you take that every year for the next 5 years? Would you take winning the Blast every year for the next 5 years?
No, I wouldn't. No.
At the expense of the decimation of the One Day Cup team?
No, there's too much wrong with the fixture list at the moment, isn't there? Our fundamental...
It's the wrong question.
While the season is configured like this, yes, but the season shouldn't be configured as it is, and the quicker we can get that adjusted so that we have proper competitive cricket through the summer holidays in Taunton, the better.
Yeah, I'm positive that's going to change in the next couple of years. I think the new chairs, Richard Thompson, isn't it? I think he's a good man and he's sorting it out. And I think within a couple of years, hopefully this debacle will be gone and we can go back to actually taking the tournament that the format that we're World Cup defenders, World Cup champions in a bit more seriously again. I think if we do awfully in the World Cup in October, it'll reflect the shambles of the fixture list and maybe make something happen.
Well,
I hope that what's been happening will focus minds in the ECB about what they need to do to sort the fixture list out. We need one county championship, we need one T20 competition, and we need one 50-over competition, and they should not be competing with each other for time. And we need to make time for proper test series as well. And it's not beyond the wit of man to do that. And I sincerely hope, and I've got a lot of confidence in Richard Gould, who is he's a really good bloke. Richard Thompson likewise, and I sincerely hope that they do sort it out, because it's that is the problem. And I don't think you should criticise players for playing in the 100 or Jason Kerr for coaching in the 100. If the money's there, you can't blame them.
Yeah, it's not their fault.
It's the ECB that needs to sort things out and get a proper cricket season back and working in this country.
Well, there was potentially a Freudian slip by Sanjay Patel, the MD of the 100. Do I retweet it now or repost it or whatever you call it?
Still call it retweet, I reckon.
Retweet it on X/Twitter. I mean, I still call Starburst Opal Fruits. Who's doing all these emojis? Have we just discovered this feature on Teams? Harry's doing applause. Pete's doing thumbs up. Anyway, yeah, Sanjay Patel said, in the final year of the 100. Oops, I mean this year of the 100. Something like that. So hopefully he has let the cat out of the bag and we're going to be rid of this dreaded monstrosity for the rest of time. Right. Just one last. Anything more on the Royal London Cup campaign? Metro Bank Cup campaign so far. Am I right in thinking that we've...
Can I just say one other thing? I think the Somerset players are missing Tom Abel's style of captaincy. Sean Dixon is a good captain, but he's not a particularly demonstrative captain. He doesn't sort of run around talking to his bowlers, talking to his fielders, urging them on, and so on. And I think Somerset have become used to Tom Abel's uplifting, interventionist, encouraging, activist style of captaincy. And I think Sean Dixon could do with being a little bit more like Tom Abel than he is at the moment, because that's the way Somerset have played cricket ever since Tom Abel have took over the captaincy back in 2016, and I think they're just missing that at the moment, particularly the younger players. I think just give them a bit more sort of get up and go.
I cannot disagree with that at all.
And the Wurzels were very good on Friday night.
Oh, were they?
I did see you walking back looking slightly worse for wear, Peter.
Yeah. There's a few. If you search them hard enough, there are a few clips on social media where people have tagged me without my permission. But there we are. I felt that for my son, it was an important cultural experience that he should experience the Wurzels. And as I said to him, there's no way that I can attend that completely sober, so therefore we're staying over and not driving back. So we had a bit of a evening out in Taunton on Friday night, and a good time was had by all, and we tried to forget the result and be cider drinkers.
I am the cider drinker.
I mean, this is normally the point in the podcast where we'd sit and select our team for the upcoming fixture at Gosforth.
It's not difficult.
Well, yeah, whoever's available. I mean, this is
Davey and Lewis Goldsworthy back in, and that'll have a good help.
I think Sean Dixon is now experiencing the true experience of experiencing the true experience. You know what I mean? Of being a second 11 captain, running around trying to find as many fit bodies as he can on the morning of a game. So, club cricket and professional cricket are not as different as a lot of people may think. What else have we got to go on with that? Just one thing I want to say is for the Glamorgan game on Sunday, I would just think it would be nice if, it's the final game of the Royal London Cup campaign. It is the last day at cricket. The last day of cricket at Taunton for a month till we pick up the county championship again in September the 19th. So August the 20th till September the 19th, as near as damn it a month without cricket at Taunton. Go back to what you were saying, Pete, about the schedule being being what it is. But yeah, if you are there at Taunton, just take an autograph book or something, and while you're there, just give the players a kind word when they're doing their autographs at the Ondaatje Stadium, because I think particularly the young players will. They have had a chastening One Day Cup campaign. A lot of it is not their fault. They shouldn't be put in this situation where they are expected to be the lead performers in a List A professional cricket team going up against seasoned county pros and internationals from the various other counties. So just get an autograph, give them a kind word, and get a nice souvenir for the day.
I agree with Shep, but just to inform who might not know, I guess there is definitely a month's break for county cricket, but if you want some cricket at the Cooper Associates County Ground, they got the Somerset Foundation under 16 and under 19 finals on the 1st of September. That's a Friday all day, and Max Waller's got his testimonial match Friday evening at Taunton Vale, so if you're looking for cricket in Taunton, that's not a bad day. And then on the Sunday there's the major, minor and intermediate cup finals from 10 o'clock till 6 o'clock, also at the Cooper Associates County Ground. So great work from Hawkins and his team getting pitches ready for that. So there is some cricket going on. I think I'm commentating on that on the live stream as well, so people can watch from home.
Funny you mentioned Max Waller's testimonial game, the Somerset Legends against the Somerset Champions. I've got some exclusives from Max Waller, hot off the press. Some of the names turning out for the Legends 11.
Yeah, some big names.
Start you off with an Azhar Ali.
Yep.
Timmy Groeneveld.
Shep.
Sorry,
we announced all these on the Monday Cup game last week. It's not that exclusive.
Did you? Oh, I thought you did. Well, Jamie Overton is making a comeback. Have you got that one? He's coming back for that game. Tim Groeneveld, Sophie Luff, Keith Parsons, and Triggs. So there's a few there. So go along to that. Friday the 1st September at Taunton Vale. Info on maxwtestimonial.co.uk, Max's socials, and Max's testimonial socials. So I can't make that, unfortunately. I'm on holiday, but looks like it's going to be a good night. What else have we got to do? Oh, Steve was supposed to be on the podcast tonight, but he can't make it. But he has given us a book recommendation. Barry Phillips' latest Somerset Cricketers book at the weekend. So, £22. There's going to be some available in the shop at the county ground. And if you do want to buy a copy, I've got Brian's details here. So, Barry's details here. So, drop me a message on Twitter, and I will pass those across to you.
Which period does that cover, Chef?
It's the latest one, is all Steve says here. So I'm not.
It's here it is.
Oh, Pete's got a copy.
Somerset Cricketers Revisited: New Discoveries. So these are some players which they found out more about subsequent to the first series of books. So first of all, you need to go and buy the.
How's Peter got this already?
4, 5
because he's the president, obviously.
Of Somerset Cricket.
The presidents just get free copies of every book.
No, exactly. That's how it works.
No. I'm in very close touch with Barry, and every time he publishes a new book, I send him the money, and he sends me a lovely copy signed.
Fair enough.
So it's more information that they've discovered about a range of players, starting with Harry George Tate, player number 3. Through to Henry Murray Anderton, page 279 of volume 5.
He was the secretary and manager in the early days, Henry Murray Anderton.
Where we are. And various other interesting bits and pieces. So, yes, highly recommended. I can't say I've read it yet, but I have got it.
Stop slacking and get on with it.
Yeah.
Can't believe it took me 2 years to get a fridge in the roll-off van in Murphyfield. That was seamless. You didn't even notice me go off and just grab another rascal. Oh, I need it after this last week. Another game that needs a plug. This one is happening on. It's the Somerset Disability 11 against Gloucester. They'll be looking to get some revenge on Sunday's in Sunday's Metro Bank games. So Somerset, this is from Jacob Lunn. Somerset Disabled play their regional final this Sunday at Hawkesbury Upton CC versus local rivals, the Gloucesters. And that's a 1 o'clock start. So if you are able to pop along to that one, do pop along, give Jacob and the Somerset Disabled 11 your best support. Normally we do listeners' questions this week, but it's just generated such chatter on X that I'd be looking for a needle in a haystack trying to find all of the questions. Anybody remember any good ones that they were tagged in that we haven't already covered?
One thing I could have mentioned earlier is Josh Davey did play against the Devon Development. Josh Davey played for Somerset Academy, which I've found mildly entertaining, with a load of youngsters against the Devon Development side, and he bowled and he batted, so he was fit enough to do that. So that's a slight positive. Hopefully he will play in the remaining games.
Whatever it was, he's kept him out yesterday. It happened in the warm-up, because Ben Warren told me at 10:15 he was in the side. At 10:30 he was out of it. So he must. I guess it's his blooming hamstring again. Yeah. That he's tweaked again. So I'd be surprised, in all honesty, if he plays on Thursday against Durham and to be honest,
I'm probably being too optimistic. With nothing left to play for really now. Actually, there's maybe optimistic.
Might as well save him for the championship.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, Curtis Camphor, I believe, has played his last game now. He was only in there for the first 5 games.
Yeah.
So I would be
shame.
I'd be very surprised if they recruited another replacement. We did touch on it earlier, but Neil Wagner has been signed as an overseas player for the last 3 championship games.
Bloody good bowler.
Yeah.
I remember when he sorted out Peter Trigo and James Hildreth. Were you there when we were playing Essex? And we're in a strong position, and Wagner came on and went, was bowling left arm over.
Oh, Gibbo's just frozen.
I'd be
worried if he wasn't bowling left arm over. That's what he bowls.
Yeah, I know, but he was bowling those skinny bouncers up into the right-handers' shoulders and chests, and they had absolutely no answer to it at all. And that's what he does, and that's a very useful weapon to have. In your armoury, and of course he did it to England in the 3rd test.
And he's much better than just that, isn't he? He's not just, he can bowl the Yorker, he can bowl the pitcher, and he can bat all right. Like he's come in as night watchman for New Zealand and scored some runs, a bit like a Jack Leach, I suppose. He can hang around. He's sort of an 8 or a 9 in Test cricket.
But it's a great weapon for a captain to have when not much is happening. Just to say to him, go in and bowl short, because he bowls those skinny bouncers, and he's one of the best I've ever seen at bowling that type of delivery. And he's in at the batsman all the time, and they find it very, very difficult to cope.
And as much as we're excited and delighted to have him signed, though, will not a lot of people be thinking, what's he come to boost us 1 place in the middle of the table? Why not save that money for next year?
I know. Strange, isn't it? But there you go.
Wow.
My father would approve, as an ex-music teacher, I like the tweet from someone who said this meant that Somerset had now played Wagner, Strauss and Elgar.
That was me, Pete. That was my tweet.
Was it? That was very good.
Yeah, I missed out on the Overton window gag, and I wasn't missing out on that one.
No, if you had one more, and it would make for the perfect Only Connect question, wouldn't it?
Oh, I missed it. Oh, no, that's on in 4 minutes, but I'm recording it anyway. Any more cricket composers? Let's not go down that rabbit hole. Let's do what I was going to set out to do about an hour ago. So I was browsing eBay for Somerset memorabilia, as is my wont. And I picked up a copy of this magazine, The Somerset Dragon. This is from 1968. Good to see that at one point in history the club did know what the bloody mythical beast was called. It's a very good read. I'll see if I can put some screenshots online, but it's very much a case of the more things change, the more they stay the same. So I'm just going to read you a couple of extracts now. This is the foreword.
This is about One Day Cup.
It's not about the match about One Day Cup. This is the foreword by your predecessor, Peter, Mr. E.F. Longrig, who's Bunty Longrig.
Bunty Longrig, solicitor in Bath. He was.
Have you got a nickname, Pete? Because if we had Bunty Longrig, I don't know what we could call you, like Bino Wanless or something. Anyway,
we don't know one another well enough yet.
So this is the forward. I have much pleasure in introducing the first publication under this title, of which I hope there will be many more annually. Spoiler alert, there were not many more annually. It is essentially a news and information medium produced in an endeavour to interest our members and supporters and to promote a closer understanding of the affairs between the club and the personalities of the players. A feeling has, I think, always persisted that there is a big gulf fixed between the team operating on the field and the spectators. Neither knows very much of the personal aims and reactions of the others, and the more that this gulf is bridged, the better. This publication is partly with that end in mind. Furthermore, a county cricket club such as Somerset is of necessity widespread in its activities and by its very nature gives only limited opportunities to members and supporters of meeting one another and comparing views. Articles and letters are accordingly invited for future editions with a view to publication, which I feel should do much to stimulate interest, promote constructive discussion and so further the interests of the club. I therefore commend the Somerset Dragon to all our members and friends on whose loyal support the future of the club depends.
Yeah, the podcast of its day.
Yeah. Moving on then, you'll like this one. This is your committee. If you don't like the way the committee runs your club, what are you going to do about it? That really is the simple problem that must be answered by the numbers of perfectly well-meaning members of our club who think they could run the club more efficiently than the present committee. Somerset County Cricket Club is a democracy, a members' club run by the members. Democracy has its faults, one of which is that it tends to take longer to do things than does a dictatorship, another being that it spreads the load of responsibility. In the same way that an ordinary elector can write to his MP, you can tell it's from the 60s, it's his, no, their or his or her, so can a member of a county cricket club put his views to the chairman, the secretary, treasurer or any member of the committee, and providing he has a reasonable point, he can be assured of a fair hearing. It should be remembered that county members get paid nothing whatever for their travelling to meetings, time lost or efforts made. They do it in the main because they feel they have something really constructive to give to the county club, however misguided other people might feel their opinions to be. Furthermore, there is scope for any member to call a special general meeting if he can provide evidence of sufficient support to justify this rather costly business. This can be done at any time. It was done, for example, with some remarkable results in 1953, and that series of meetings was something a turning point in Somerset's fortunes. What was that then, 1953? That wasn't the Shepton Mallet one, was it? That was Roebuck.
No,
that was in the 80s.
No.
It was when Brocklebank was involved, and it was they had 3 captains in a season, and the county was in complete disarray.
How many
And
captains
Ben
have we had this season?
Brocklebank became editor of the Cricket, was one of the prime movers.
Many decisions taken in the past have been unpopular, often to small... Sorry, I'll start again. Many decisions taken in the past have been unpopular, often to small pockets of members who may not know the full circumstances. Was this written last week, or is it actually about 55 years old? It would clearly be far too expensive to acquaint each individual member of every committee decision taken, and indeed many of them are of little interest to the majority. Yeah. So many decisions are taken in the course of a year that some of them are bound to be criticised. You cannot please all the people all the time. By the same token, the committee ought to be able to please most of the people most of the time, and it is up to the members to see that they do. If an ordinary member is very displeased with the way his club is run, he should either do something about it or put up with it. Committee men, by and large, are not fools and charlatans, as some would have you believe, but they do, like everyone else, make mistakes. If you think they make too many, get hold of a committee man and tell him so. Offer a solution and get on the committee yourself. It's not as difficult as you may think. Now, was that really written 55 years ago? I like the line about, what was it? Where's it gone? Oh, I've lost it now. Where's it gone? Oh, the point about people not knowing the full circumstances in which the context decisions are taken. I think that's...
When I came down for the Surrey match and we did a Q&A for some of the members after the second day there, I had found an old souvenir booklet of Somerset against the Australians at Bath in 1977, I think, 77. Both them played in the game, and I've filled in all the scorecard beautifully. But at the front of that, there was a piece written by John Arlott, and he was trying to encourage the members of the club to try and come to terms with the short form of the game, because although 40 overs aside seemed like a great rush and wasn't as pure a form of the game as the county championship, we were going to have to come to terms with it, because sadly that was where the money was.
Well, John Arlott was he commentated on the.
Yeah, it was worth it for him, wasn't it? He probably did have something.
The Sunday League had been going then for 8 years. Started in 1969. It was the John Player League, and I hanker for the Sunday League. It was great. Every Sunday afternoon, 40 overs aside. The only thing wrong with it was restriction on the bowlers' run-ups. But other than that, it was really, really good cricket. And wouldn't it be lovely to have something like that?
And they used to have there was £1,000 prize, wasn't there? And every time you hit a six, you got a share in the £1,000. And some seasons, players managed to score 12 sixes.
Why don't we bring all those rules back for this Sunday? This Sunday's the last home one-day cup game. It's a Sunday. It's 50 overs, close enough. Why don't we bring all those rules back, spice it up a bit?
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, funny you should mention talking about the changes, Gibbo. This is a paragraph called the county scene. County scene is indeed changing, and no doubt many will say that changes are long overdue. The 1968 season will see a new bonus scheme for point scoring aimed at increasing the tempo of the first innings, which is a change that they didn't they make exactly that change this year by raising the
they've been
bonus
buggering
points up
around
to 450.
In those days, it was brighter cricket that was the big cause. Everybody wanted brighter cricket. So they were doing all sorts of things to try and encourage faster scoring rates and all the rest of it. And now we look back on that as the sort of golden age.
Yeah.
The 70s and 80s were, to my mind, as someone who's getting on a bit, they were the golden age, not just of Somerset cricket, but of cricket more generally. When you had the Benson Hedges at the start of the season, you had the Sunday League running through it, you had the Gillette Cup or NatWest in the second half of the season, and you had 3-day county championship matches where you would probably play 16 3-day county championship matches in the course of the season. And that to me was the perfect setup. It was hard work for the players because, they had two 3-day championship matches in a week, and then up to Headingley or somewhere for a Sunday League match, and then, back for the second day of a 3-day championship.
Yeah, the Sunday sandwich was you wouldn't want to bring that back.
No, you wouldn't. But I think there's a lot to be said for 3-day county championship cricket, because you could use the same number of days of county championship cricket to play every other team in your division twice if it was 3 days.
And if you got 110, 120 overs in a day, you wouldn't really.
Well, no, not
those
days. Over rates were an issue even in those days. But over rates weren't.
I know. I mean, like start at 10 and finish at 7 under lights if you have to.
Yeah, but you could, 16 3-day county championship matches. That it would be the same number as we've got at the moment.
Moving on, Gilbert does mention that. 1969 will see the start of a one-day league with matches played on Sundays, probably with a limit of 40 overs for each side. To fit this in, the number of 3-day county championship matches will be reduced from... Right, have a guess what it was. Will be reduced from what number?
32?
No, less than that.
26 or something.
28 to 24. The new programme for championship matches could give a club 16 weekend matches, 8 at home, 8 midweek matches, 4 at home, while the Sunday League will give every club 16 matches with 8 at home. It will be possible to cut out midweek games in May and June to a large extent, thus concentrating the cricket into a period when the public is available to watch, namely at the weekends and during the holiday months of July and August. Yeah. Although there will be a reduction in the total number of days cricket from 45 to 44, there will be 20 matches as compared with the present 16, and the 2 separate competitions could add greatly to spectator interest.
Yeah.
I spent a bit of time today reading a BBC TMS book I got given, and about Agnew and Tuffers' way into TMS, and their history and summer holidays watching cricket and listening to TMS. Now they got into it, and Agnew telling a story of a bloke getting 200 wickets in a year, 200 county wickets, and
Titch Freeman took 300 in 1926 for Kent.
he
must have been knackered.
Imagine that.
Oh, ridiculous! You don't get that in a career most of these days.
So this next page goes on to talk about the finances. So, Pete, I'm not suggesting that Somerset do this for 2024, but it did say this year it seems that the £1 membership idea might put the books right for the first time in a long while. That's £1 for every game apart from the Gillette Cup knockout games for a whole season. Yeah. That's value. This improvement must be maintained, but what Somerset feel most strongly is that all the financial problems would disappear if county cricket adjusted itself to the 1960s instead of going along as if it were 1920. So today we know people say, why can't we go along like it's the
1970s, 80s. Yeah. Yes, we're a bit guilty there.
Yeah, we are. I must leave you. So we'll see you next week.
No worries, Gibbo. We just mentioned that Gibbo's managed to dodge the trip up to Gosforth. He's got a meeting on Friday.
I've got a very important meeting that keeps me in Somerset.
How that? Who have you got covering you in Gosforth?
I'm heartbroken that I shan't be going to Gosforth.
Well, you're doing your bit for the planet, Gibbo, by not having a carbon footprint all the way up and all the way back. So I'll catch you on Sunday, Gibbo, for the Glamorgan game.
Who do we get the delights of listening to commentating at Gosforth then, Gibbo?
Sorry?
Do you know who it is we get the delights of listening to from Gosforth?
Rob Dunn, who I don't know. Rob Dunn.
Robbie Dunn. Isn't he a jockey? Isn't he the one that had a thing with Bryony Frost? That Robbie Dunn.
No, he comes from up there, up north.
Up there.
Yeah,
but from our perspective, everybody comes from up north.
He'll do a very good impression of a Somerset accent, I'm sure.
Oh, fair enough. Well, I hope you briefed him well.
Yeah. I'm also missing the Durham game, but I am planning to go to Derby. Are you going to?
Yes, I'll be there at Derby. I'll see you there, Peter.
I'll see you there, yeah.
Look forward to it.
Right.
Cheers.
Very good.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Right.
Does that bring an end to story time?
No, I've got 3 more pages to go. I'll be quick. After some of the happenings in 1967, Somerset have put forth a string of other ideas aimed at brightening up the game, penalising the time wasters, bringing in star cricketers, and generally making life much pleasanter. I'm reading that. I'm not sure if pleasant is an actual word or not. For the most important chap we know, the fellow who does us the honour of coming to watch our matches. So there we are. And there's
you
another
enjoyed
page.
that, didn't you? Yeah.
Now, there's another page which is basically a whinge about catering. But staffing problems are a major headache for any caterer. Which sounds like Gordon Hollins and Caroline Herbert were saying over the post-COVID years.
Is there enough mustard in the box or whatever it was? Yeah.
Yeah, and then it says don't moan about lunch. But I will post all this online. But I thought that was a very entertaining and informative read, and just a reminder that we are on a cycle, I suppose, with cricket, and the more things change, the more they indeed do stay the same. I don't think I've got anything more on my agenda. Pete, have you had enough, or did you want to have a little read from the books that we talked about?
I probably had enough, but we were just, as we were warming up, Harry, I was saying I've got lots of books like this, and I found this book called 60 Years of Somerset Cricket, and it's got a great big chunk in the middle called The Lean Years, which seem to go on for an extremely long time, but the last chapter is called The Future. So let's just have a look at the future now, and here we are. This is the looking ahead to the future. Looking ahead to the immediate future of Somerset cricket is not exactly a cheering prospect. The team that will do duty in 1952 will be the same in the main as that of 1951, when it was a constant struggle to keep head above water.
Friday.
There endeth the reading for today. And
you two have both got very nice reading voices.
let's go and watch Tom Kohler-Cadmore taking that catch again. Cheer ourselves up.
Always look at the bright side of live YouTube. There's a 25-minute supercut of it being repeated over and over and over and over again. It's been a pleasure, gents. Best of luck to Sean Dixon and the literal boys going up to Durham. So that's Durham at Gosforth on Thursday. Glamorgan at home on Sunday. That's a family day. Do take the wife and kid, or indeed husband and kids, or indeed life partner and kids. Just make sure they're your kids and you've got permission. And then the Royal London Cup, the Metro Bank, always look on the bright side of life, Royal London One Day Cup concludes on the 22nd of August at Derby at the Ancora County Ground. Suffice to say, I don't think we're going to be making the quarterfinals unless there's some mass points deduction for financial irregularities, but I can't see that happening. So then Somerset do have a break, and I think it's 3rd of September we crack on with the county championship down at the Aegeus Bowl.
Yep.
Gets back to some proper cricket. Gents, always a pleasure. Unless you've got any other business, we'll not get on the air for tonight.
Thanks a lot.
Cheers all.
Happy days. Cheers.
Ta-ra.
Cheers.